Hi, I'm Matt Stevens and I'm here in Leipzig in Germany to give you a tour of what is essentially the tactical and technical nerve centre of any bike race. This is the Škoda Superb IV belonging to the Canyon SRAM Women's World Tour team. The team car has a vital multi-purpose function in a bike race, so it needs to be up to the task. From the Spring Classics all the way through to the end of the year at the World Championships, this car needs to be able to do it all. Essentially, we can divide the car up into 4 parts. First up, we've got the roof, that's where the bikes are of course. Secondly, we've got the communications hub in the front, that's where the Direct Sportif sits. Third, we've got the seats at the back where the mechanic sits with his tools and some spare wheels. And then fourth, we have more supplies and spares for the riders just in the back. And actually, there's a fifth as well. We can't forget the engine, but thankfully, nobody sits in there. First up then, we have the roof. And as you can see, there is a lot of real estate up here. And this is a custom bespoke roof rack that takes 8 complete bikes. And if you look very closely, just here as well, you can see there's also a satellite receiver as well. Now that's there because quite often when a race is underway, the DS and the assistant DS will watch live coverage of a race. Now the bikes towards the outside, to the left and the right, are the bikes of the protected riders or the team leaders because they need to get their bikes as quickly as possible. And it's as simple as this. There we go, and we're on our way. Next up, the front of the car. The front of the team car is essentially a communications hub where information is taken and then passed on to the riders out on the road. And there's so much information that these days there's actually 2 in the front. We have an assistant DS to pass the information on to the riders and DS number 1 who can concentrate on driving. So let's have a look at what is in here. First up, screen number 1 on the right hand side, we have a phone with up-to-date weather conditions. Second screen here has got Velo Viewer on it. Now that's a piece of software that gives us up-to-date information about what's going on the course and what's coming up. So hotspot sprints, feed zone, and importantly, really detailed information about the gradient on the mountains and the climbs. And the third screen, at the moment, well, I've got local radio on, but during the race, this can turn into a television and I can watch Eurosport, and that gives us up-to-date information, live information about what's going on in the race. Now, continuing the information theme, this is a 2-way radio where the Direct Sportif or DS number 2 can talk to the riders out on the road. And in a race situation, there'll be a second radio as well, and that'll be information that's passed from the race organisers to the DSs that they can then pass on to the riders out on the road. Now, as you can see, there's lots of space here. Needs to be comfortable, 4 or 5 hours in the car maximum, and there's the space here for food as well. So if a rider comes alongside and wants to chat, they can get some energy gels or an energy bar passed to them too. So that's the front of the car. Let's have a look at the mechanics in the back. Right, I'm now in the back. This is where the mechanic lives for the duration of the race, of course. Now, my first impressions are that there is a lot of space, and that's massively important to keep the mechanic nice and comfortable so they can spring into action when the need arises. Now, one of the most important things is that the mechanic has access to all the things that they need very close to hand. So that's why this space on the left is used for the spare wheels. We've got a front wheel there and a back wheel here, and directly underneath is an open toolkit, so the mechanic can have access to all the tools that they need to give running repairs on the move. Now, every single little bit of space has been utilised, and just in the pocket on the right hand side we have lubrication to keep those chains dry, and also a mechanic special, an oily rag, and that takes us neatly into the boot. No, it's no exaggeration at all that this is a cavernous space, lots of room for lots of important stuff. First up, this is a 58-litre cool box which contains around 55 bidons, which are easily accessible from the back there by the mechanic. They'll be kept on ice so they're nice and chilled for the riders. Now, the other thing that we've got inside here is the rider's wet bag. Now, this is massively important. There'll be one in each team car, and this is the sort of thing that the rider will need out on the road should the weather change. So typically it'll be a rain jacket, spare pair of glasses, or even a pair of gloves as well. And there's 6 of those in the back, and there's a room for a lot more as well. So that's the rather big boot looked at. Let's now have a look at the engine. Underneath the bonnet is a 1.4 litre TSI petrol engine augmented by an electric engine, meaning this vehicle is a hybrid, 218 brake horsepower, meaning the Superb can accelerate out of the most dynamic, difficult situations should the need arise. So we've had a look at the Superb, now it's time to drive it. Well, I enjoyed that and I hope you enjoyed our tour of the Škoda Superb IV and got a sense of how spacious, robust, dynamic and indeed comfortable this vehicle is in keeping the Canyon SRAM team on the road. In fact, I liked it that much, I want to keep it myself.